Hello everyone, it's me and this video is on bitmap versus vector graphics. There is one more type of graphics, but I'm not going to use that example, and these are the two important ones to remember. And they're often compared beside each other. So I hope you enjoy. Bitmap graphics is also known as raster graphics. So they are common in software programs like Adobe Photoshop. So with bitmap graphics you can get photographs on the internet and manipulate it. When you size an image using bitmap graphics, it makes the image pixelated, meaning the image has poor quality as soon as the scale size of the image has changed. So if you make the image bigger on Photoshop, it does, and you keep making it bigger, it goes, you can see those squares here. So this is like what it will look like, basically. So raster graphics are considered to be resolution dependent as their quality is easily lost when the image scale size has changed, because there'll be pixels shown when zooming in. So as I said, when you zoom in, like to an extent where you can see the pixels, it loses its quality, basically. And there are some software programs that are used to create bitmap images such as Adobe Photoshop and Paint. The images are formulated using a non-base are used are usually non are formatted usually non-based art images when you don't have to draw an image. That's the good thing about bitmap, is when you don't really need to go search too far to find an image that you want to manipulate, because it doesn't really involve a lot of programming, I would say. It's just used for photo manipulation. So you only need a software program like Photoshop and Paint to even make it allow the chance for yourself to have the chance to edit the clip without any form of complex programming, I would say. I don't know how to word that, to be honest. And here you can see an image. So this is what the image, so this is a raster image, and what it looks like normally, as you can see on the right here, and then on the left here, and on the right, where you zoom in like 500%, you can see these pixels, and the lines are apps. Everything is basically pixelated, and you can see the image starts to lose its quality the more you resize the image. And this is the same here, so you can see this is exactly what I'm referring to. It loses its quality, and the pixels start to show, and it makes the image less clear and harder to see, basically. And it makes it less appealing and visualizing. So bitmap image editing is usually a type of editing you would use on Adobe Photoshop. So unlike vector graphics, bitmap has pixelation shown when enlarging images. So I will get to vector in a second, but they are both quite very different in terms of quality. So pixels are there for making up the image, and the difference between vector and bitmap graphics is bitmap editing makes the image unclear to see, and it becomes distorted and starts to lose its quality when resizing the image, as I've mentioned before. And there are file formats, which is for saving images that are used on these digital graphics software programs. So, as I said, the good thing about bitmap is that you can select the image online, and then you can download it onto your or save it onto your desktop, and then you can use it for photo manipulation, and you can edit it by changing colors, and maybe you could change the way it looks. I don't know. So Adobe Photoshop is a specialist program designed to create images with better quality. So this program allows users to do many advanced things with their images, and these may include 3D creations, editing tools to eliminate the unwanted processes, and has advanced image features. So Adobe Photoshop has many additions to it, and is very good and useful to use this program for editing images, and users can create many projects using this program. So I've used Adobe today. I just needed a quick reminder of how to use it. Even though I sort of remember how to, the simple stuff I would say, like flipping an image over or rotating is, and there's lots of things that you can do with an image on Photoshop, which I really like. And there are training courses on LinkedIn Learning. I haven't been on LinkedIn Learning, but I did intend on learning how to use Adobe Photoshop again. But I don't have the program on the actual computer because I have to log in through like a there's web apps anywhere. Have you ever heard of that? But apparently it's very terrible because my teacher was telling me about it in university. It was really crap and it was slow when they did Premiere Pro on it. When the guy that normally does the tutorials for us as a class for the film and television students about Adobe Premiere Pro, and it's very slow, and you can't be off it because it'll just switch off like no other, basically. And I think it's good that people should learn about Photoshop. There are courses. I heard there's one. This is one place that you can do different courses how to do programs, but you have to pay like a lot of money. I think it's the same with LinkedIn Learning, so you can learn from the comfort of your own home. And there's one, I think it's Bishopsgate, if I can remember. There's one in, I think it's near Liverpool. The actual building's in Liverpool Street, I think. And you can learn, you can choose which course you want to do, but you do have to pay, like, depending on, pardon me, depending on the duration of the course. So bitmap graphics software Paint. So Microsoft Paint is used for creating images by drawing, but the images have raster graphics. So this program can also be used for creating manipulations out of photographs, but only for the simplest of tools. So there are some purposes of what users can do on this program, but there are some limitations which stop users from using this program. So it's a bit like similar to Photoshop, but it's less advanced. Basically, that's what Paint is. In case you don't know, and every Windows computer has Microsoft Paint because I think Microsoft actually owns Windows as well. And you can't do much on Paint basically because there's certain things that you can't do, like layering and you know, it's not that, and you can't do a lasso tool or something like that. And you can't, you can do, but it just prevents people from using it because they want the advanced parts of the photo. So you could use free hand tools to create bitmap graphics. So it has free tools allowing users to know how to use the program easily. So if you're not good with those type of programs, I think maybe start with Paint just so you can get the hang of it before you start entering to advanced programs like Photoshop. And there's one called Lightroom and After Effects as well. So you can customize the images using different tools. There are some limitations to this program. The program doesn't allow you to create transparent backgrounds, which is obviously why most YouTubers tend to use Photoshop when they're using, I think it's for their thumbnails. That's how they get the different backgrounds, basically. And you cannot add visual effects and some other details to the image. And images cannot be layered, as I just mentioned. I just gave an example of a limitation that could hinder the use of paint. So vector graphics is a type of computer graphics that only allows you to use geometrical shapes such as lines, curves, polygons, and points just to create an image. So vector graphics is run by following mathematical rules. So I think it's quite complicated to use vector graphics. You do need to be good with coordinates, I would say. So when making images bigger, it doesn't have pixelation at all. So as you see here, there's no pixelation. You actually can see the image quite clearly because of that's why you can see the image more clearly because of the mathematical rules that are being followed. I think if you don't follow it, I think it messes up the image and it's made the same way the user has seen the image. So vector graphics can only be for used for free hand drawing on the computer instead of photographs to create photo manipulation. So you do need you need to be a good artist or designer, whatever, graphic designer, and you need to be a good mathematician. So it requires drawing freehand on the computer. So there are some programs, including Adobe Fireworks and CorelDRAW, that makes images out of vector graphics, which is mainly used by professionals. So that's why I said it's more advanced and more harder for people to use because professionals do know what they're doing when they are creating those graphics with these images. So you could also use simple geometrical shapes to create the image. So you can see here the beak of the bird. So there's a fill color which is orange and stroke color which is also the same color, but I don't know much about that. But you can see that it's obvious that the image is drawn, which is why there's no pixelation, as I just stated. And this is another image. I think this is done on Adobe Fireworks because Adobe has so many programs you can use to do different things depending on what you're doing. And I think you need a subscription for Adobe, all Adobe programs, depending on what your aim is or what area you specialize in. And this is done through Adobe After Effects. Adobe Fireworks. Sorry, as I just mentioned before. So, vector image editing is a kind of process of editing used on a specialist program called Vector CorelDRAW, and it is used for creating images using vector graphics software. So to use this program, they are made of simple shapes, lines, curves, and polygons. So vector graphics images never change when enlarging an image, so almost no pixelation is seen when the image is being enlarged using this specialist program. So even when making images smaller, they still have the same quality as they originally have. They maintain, which bitmap doesn't. And vector graphics is used for creating logos and posters. So there are mathematical equations when it comes to creating good digital graphics. If you create a poster, which is the same image on the bitmap program, you cannot do that because it will not allow you to. So CorelDRAW creates vector graphic images such as logos, shapes, and illustrations. I don't know why I wrote that twice, but you know. So you can see that it's very good for creating logos, and you hardly ever notice that there are pixels. So vector graphics software, as I said, Adobe Fireworks. So the shapes are used to create images such as circles and rectangles. It's easy to use for manipulating the images, and it doesn't become blurry when the image is being resized. You can change certain formats, including color, text, font, and the texture. The limitations when using vector graphics are that photographs cannot be used. You just have to create the image by drawing, which is some people are not good at art, which I'm definitely not good at drawing. But my drawing has improved, but I'm not a great drawer, I would say. In that sense, I think I'll be at entry level in terms of that, the drawings that I do. So, the drawings in vector graphics turn out to be 20% larger or smaller. So the errors will show when enlarging too much. So if you overdo, so it will project itself basically. The differences between vector and raster. So the difference is they're both quite obvious differences. So a raster is made out of pixels, while a vector is composed. A vector image is composed with paths. So the pixels, when changing the scale of a raster image that adds pixels to make the image look bad due to its quality, but it measures the size of the image, which does help in terms of the size. When you enlarge, it does help to see how much resolution this image has on bitmap, basically. But unlike vector, vector graphics are good for any size because they show less pixels and doesn't ruin the image, as there are mathematical equations to measure the size of the image. So on vector images, you can use simple shapes and lines to create images, this but you can't use photographs. You can't download a photo from the internet. You just have to draw it by hand. And vector and raster graphics is just photo manipulation and editing. And they both have different software programs which are used to create their images. So to create raster graphics, it's use Microsoft Paint and Adobe, but for vector, there are Adobe Fireworks and CorelDRAW. I think CorelDRAW is actually on Mac, if I can recall, but I'm not entirely certain on that. What program it is, what system is compatible, operating system it is compatible with. Sorry. File size, to measure the file size is measured in bytes. An image that is used on a software program is saved depending on the size of the file and how much memory is stored into it. So the more memory there is, the more data you can save, I guess, that you can have in the files you can store. So vector files are normally smaller, so therefore they don't have options for saving. They don't really take a lot of space basically. If the file's small, they can't take up too much space. So bitmap graphics are a lot bigger and they take up a lot of space, as I just said. It's the opposite. To control the size of the file is to compress or change the quality level when saving the graphic image. So the same file size might have different sizes written all over it. File formats are about the way the graphic is structured. Sorry. Each file format uses a different structure so that it will understand and it will show its graphics on the screen. So it will show how to screen print edit it. So an image might be stored using these particular formats: compressed, uncompressed, and vector formats. There are several types of formatting codes which are used as file formats to save images in their software program. So here, the first line is file extension, the second column is graphics type, the third column is proper name, and fourth is description. So .ai is type vector, and the proper name is Adobe Illustrator artwork. So that you could possibly use as well. So this file has vector type drawings which are saved in the PDF formats. So that's how it will look basically when you get the file. The final copy, I would say. A soft copy on the computer. And .bmp is a raster and it's Windows bitmap. So program from Windows, and it has bitmap graphics. Lossless compression is specified, but some programs only use uncompressed files. CDR, vector, CorelDRAW documents. So the program has default images and 2D documents and 3D for special effects. And .cgm is also vector. Computer graphics meta file defined by ISO standards 8632. This is used for making complex images. And that will be. And finally is the other one. CPI graphics, raster graphics. And it's Cartesian perceptual compression. So hyper compressed format used for black and white images and can make images smaller. They can be saved into PDF files. So these are the main formats for these type of graphics, on how to get the right format for the right image, basically, when you export, I would say, or when the image is saved. So these are the references that I used for finding this information. So I hope you enjoy watching this video. I know I sound a bit rusty, but I hope you gain some type of understanding of what these are. So please like, share, subscribe, and never miss a thing. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.